Hi everyone, and welcome to what should be a short 3D printing video. And rather than just do the normal time lapse and show the results, we're going to look at the Fusion 360 bit up front and keep that quite brief, and then go into the printing itself. So what are we up to here? So I found recently when I've been making guitars that I need some custom kind of sized sanding blocks. And I thought to myself, right, okay, let's see if we can make something a little better than just either a block of wood or the ones that you tend to get from shops, which tend to be for, large surface areas when you're decorating and stuff. So let's dive into Fusion 360 and see if we can design a couple of these things and print them out. So we're going to start off with a sketch on the first type, and it's just a rectangle. I'm going to extrude that out to provide our base block, and I've just taken away a piece at the bottom. You'll see why that is in a minute. And then we're just going to put another piece on the bottom just to depict, because I was going to print the base out of TPU, the synthetic rubber 3D printing material, but decided against that. But anyway, so we got our block. Then what I've done is I've actually created a couple of more organic shapes, shall we say. This one's going to be at the back of the sanding block, and this one at the front, which is just a sphere to start with. And these are created using the Sculpt workspace in Fusion 360. Very easy to do. Then I've created a construction plane on this top surface, and we're going to slice that sphere in half, and we can get rid of the bottom bit. And then we're just going to slice this one as well, and also get rid of the bottom part, so that we're essentially flush, if you like, with the block underneath it. Then we're going to combine that into one body, and really all there is to it then is just to put some fillets around the corners and edges, also a fillet around the join for the organic shapes and the base, just to smooth that out a little bit. And that's it. So there's our first one. It's almost like a plane, I guess, but a sander. We just wrap the sandpaper around the sides. Okay, the second type's going to be a little bit different, because I then saw on Amazon that there were some sanding blocks where you kind of clamp the sandpaper into the block itself, and I also needed a smaller version of the one we've just looked at creating. And I thought, well, £15 I think was what they were charging for this. Is a little expensive, so I'll see if I can create one myself. So here we go again. And first thing we do is again create a sketch for the base, the right size of the block we want, extrude that out, and I've created a sketch on the end here, and you can see there's a couple of shapes here, and we extrude those through, one to this shape here just to cut through the base, and that'll create the first part of this, and then extruded the piece which will sit on top of that, and the sandpaper will kind of clamp in this gap here. Then we create another sketch from the side. We can then chop away all this material. Then we come in with a bunch of fillet operations, just basically to round all these edges off. We don't want any sharp edges when you're sanding, otherwise you'll end up with no palms left. So there we go, nice rounded shapes all round. Then we're going to create a sketch on the bottom of our first block here, and we're going to put a couple of holes through, and then with a couple of countersinks. What we'll do is we'll put 6mm bolts through the bottom here, and we'll probably just epoxy those in place. That'll be fine for what we need them for. Then we're creating a construction plane on the top. Let me just switch this sketch off there and create a couple of shapes. Let me just turn the top body on, because what we want to do is extrude down into these kind of rounded dome shape things here. Fillet the edges of those so they're nice and smooth, and we've put a hole all the way through as well. Then we're going to create a sketch on the top of this first block, and we're just going to extrude these lugs out here. And what we'll do, and you can see I've put two concentric circles in here, so one will be the inner piece, which will then locate and just fillet those first, and then we can extrude cut the outer piece into the top here. See these recesses in there, and that'll essentially locate the two parts together. And because this wasn't quite deep enough, I actually extruded it down a bit further, made it a bit thicker. Then we create a sketch on the top here, extrude that up, fillet it, create a sketch on the top, on the sketch we create one circle, and then we use the sketch circular pattern to essentially create a whole bunch of others. We could use the pattern command as well within the modify thing. Both methods work. Then we can extrude those circles down, which makes a nice grip on the outside of this, what will be a thumb screw essentially, to screw the two halves together and hold them in place. And then all we need to do is put some M6 threads on the inside of this, and then we can just take this object and we can just print two of them to make two there. So there we go. Let's head over to the printer and get all this lot printed out. Okay, over to the 3D printer, and just a couple of things. So we've put an 8mm brim around this shape just to try and hold it on the bed. Just peeled up a tiny amount at the front edge there, you can see, but that doesn't matter, as you'll see in a second. And over to the second block, print the bottom piece. That's fairly easy shape, so is the top for that matter. You'll notice I'm using about 20% infill there, and a 2 or 3mm thickness of walls. Then it's over to the two nuts. They don't take very long to do at all. Then over to the bench with a bit of super glue and a bit of urethane foam, which is just some off-cut floor matting. Hold that on there till it's set, and then getting hold of a sharp knife, we'll just trim around the edges. And unfortunately with that foam, it doesn't stay sharp very long. You'll notice there's a couple of frayed edges, and you need to just nick those off there. Look. But that's fine, just to use as a standard block, and the foam on the bottom means that you know, it's not going to be so harsh on the thing that you're sanding. Great for doing things like guitar bodies. The other one is really just clamp the sandpaper in between the two halves, screw down the nuts onto the two bolts, which are just epoxied into the bottom of the bottom piece, and we're ready and done. So there's some sanding blocks. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.